Gentlemen, one of the things that I think we all know is important, and Katie, you know that as well. Michael talks about his wonderful relationship with Sonia. I talk about the fact that I'm a virgin with nobody. And Katie, we just wonder what you got going on. But we realize that relationships are important, whether it's personal relationships, interpersonal, romantic relationships, or otherwise. We have a trained relationship expert who's going to come on, and we talk about relationships with her. So if you do have any questions about relationships, maybe your relationship with your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your side piece, your kids, or just even how you interact with other people, man. We have a licensed clinical social worker and a certified trauma expert. She got all that kind of stuff in here. She's here every week. Please show your love for the lovely, the vivacious Mylira Green. What's going on, girl?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Man, we can't complain in real life, man. We here. I know I'm not Michael, and Katie's not Michael, but you still Mylira, and that makes everything great.
Oh, thank you. Listen, today I honestly just want to encourage people communicate, communicate, communicate. Like that is literally the key to every relationship, whether it is romantic, platonic, family. We need to start to communicate our expectations. If you find yourself always arguing with somebody, 9 out of 10 is because you have not communicated the expectations that you have in your mind for that person. So every time that person falls short of your unexpressed expectations, now we're mad, we're upset, we're angry, we throw little temper tantrums, we do all these little teeny things. So what I want us to do is start to communicate what we expect from the people who are in our lives. So that's the thing that I wanted to kind of jump on and talk about and open up the floor for anybody else who has like questions on relationships. But please start to communicate with those you love.
Mylira, you know what I've noticed? One of the biggest communication fails, especially between men and women, is the communication of the expectation of intimacy. What I realize a lot of times is that intimacy that men equate sex with intimacy, and women equate all the other little stuff, hand holding, talking, things of that nature. So a lot of times women are like, he won't be intimate with me, and the guy's like, man, I just gave you these good pumps last night.
Yeah.
How do you break down the process of intimacy, and the communication of intimacy between men and women?
Absolutely. So here's a big piece of this is we have to understand that intimacy is not just about male and female. It is a human natural desire. So I'm again going through this program to become a sex therapist because I've realized that a lot of relationships are broken down because we don't understand that it is a natural piece of our life. So the way that the person talks about it, she says, if you are alive, you have desires. Unless you are dead, you're going to always have desires. And because of that, we have to start communicating that. And I think we put this pressure on what it's supposed to look like. Every person has their own definition of intimacy. So you have to begin to communicate that. If you don't communicate it, that person's not going to fulfill that. And what it is we have two different parts of relationships. You have the companion side, and then you have the intimacy side. The companion side, we push so much. That's the emotion. That's, hey, who go walk the dog, who pays the bills, who take care of the kids. It's the friendship part. But we don't talk a lot about the natural eros side of it, whereas we all have this genuine desire, and you got to begin to talk about it. For some people, it might be flipped. It's not always the male that wants a certain kind of intimacy, and maybe the female. So you got to communicate with your significant other. What does that look like? Does that look like hand holding? Does that look like nighttime? Does that look like certain pieces? And then also, I have somebody here that says when it comes to the mental health side of things, your reality starts with your mind. So for men specifically that has issues in that area, a lot of the times is that lack of confidence. Am I going to be able to fulfill this thing? So we need to start to talk about that in relationships so you don't go outside. Because here's the thing, if it's not filled in a relationship, your body is naturally going to want to look at it outside of the relationship. And that's where some people are right now. We don't want to sit here and talk about what that is. Okay, so you must understand the definition and process of communication. I absolutely love this comment here. So there's this thing that's called community reinforcement approach, and they have a very positive communication skills that they break down as 3 parts. The first thing is the understanding statement. If I am communicating with you, I don't want you just to hear me. I need to hear you as well. So what I do is I'm going to try to put myself in your shoes and say, hey, I understand this is why you feel how you feel. You know, a lot of times we can minimize arguments if we just say, hey, I understand why you feel that way. I understand why you mad at me right now. You know, if I do the understanding statement, that person knows now that I am listening to what they're saying. Then the second part is I want to take partial responsibility. I want to take ownership of the part that I played in whatever this conversation is about. And it doesn't have to always be negative, it can be positive. And then once I do that together, number 3, we come and create a solution. So in order to communicate in a healthy way, you got to do that understanding statement. Hey, I understand where you're coming from. This is what I'm hearing you say, and allow for the other person to say if you got them or not. Then I'm going to take partial responsibility. This is the thing that I played in this. You told me over the years you wanted me to do this, right? And then after that is being able to come together and have that solution. Being able to say, hey, this is what we're going to come together to do. And that also helps with intimacy as well, because now both parties is being listened to and heard to eliminate any of the downfalls when it comes to intimacy as well. I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
Unmute. Am I unmuted now?
Yes, you are. I can hear you now. Hello.
Oh, yay. Hello. How you feel today, dear?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
Amazing. I get to meet you this weekend, huh?
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yes, yay. You know, I listen to all the things that deal with relationship. And in it, what I kept hearing ringing and ringing and ringing is the importance of the communication. I mean, I even wrote down, I think perfect communication helps create coochie procurement. So what I'm saying is, if you really want to get down with your girl, talk to her. Have a real conversation. Talk to her about some stuff that's important to her. And hopefully she'll talk about things that are important to you, because the communication lick is the thing that really gets you closer than anything else. And then all that other physical stuff will automatically come into play once you communicate with each other, once you touch each other on that level. And I know maybe I'm preaching to the choir, but I sort of think once we can talk it, then we can really do our thing. Once they understand, because communication will let people let their guards down, because all of us out here scared. We're scared we're going to get the wrong person. We're scared this might not be the right choice. We're not sure exactly what to do. We don't want to roll in fear. We want to keep God first. But we also want to look out for our little hearts. Yeah. So that's why we be real nervous. But once we start talking, the more we communicate, the more the fear falls to the wayside, because we come to know each other more and more. And the closer we get to know each other, the deeper the relationship is. And that's deeper love making.
It is. Yeah, and the thing is, like, we all want to be heard. You know, we live in a space that, and this is a whole nother topic for another day, is when it comes to parenting. But the piece of it is we all just want to be heard. We all want to make sure that you're listening to me. Like this comment here is so important. Like, don't just talk. Don't just talk at me, but I need you to listen to me. And that's where that understanding statement comes from, because before I communicate anything, even if it's via text message, people will know. I'll say, hey, this is what I'm hearing you say. I heard that you're frustrated because of this. Like, I'm going to give you back what you gave me, because then what you end up doing is you can tell me whether I heard you right or not. So before I have my own preconceived notations, or you hurt my feelings, I'm taking it personal. I now get to give to you what I heard you say, and then I'm going to tell you what I feel based off of the facts of what I really heard you say. So don't just talk, listen, and let that other person know that you're hearing what they're actually saying.
Wow. I love that. You know, my queen saved me this morning, because I was still laying in bed thinking my flight was an hour later than it was. And it was her energy and her light that made me get up and get going. Because my first thought was, I done missed the plane again. I'm just going to lay here. But she's like, come on, Daddy, time to go. And that energy, that light, that little bit of communication, as she laying in her bed, she almost overclapped too. Now I'm up and running, and that drive kept me going all the way, so I made it to the plane, which I wasn't supposed to make. And it starts with that simple communication, you know? Ooh, who else go ahead.
So we have this person say, don't finger point, identify how something made you feel, don't attack the other person. Absolutely. Utilize I statements. I feel this because, and not I feel this because you. No, I felt this because this reminded me of something in my past and I'm now triggered. So the way I'm about to respond to you is not because of you, it's for something else. We have to learn how to use different phrases. So when we're communicating with our significant others, with our friends, they know, don't take personal what I'm taking personal right now. And then this will say, what about older couples who may not be able to change their ways? Everybody has a capacity of change. If anybody ever tells you they cannot change, that is an excuse. The only time you cannot change is when you are dead. So if you are stuck in your ways, then you're choosing to live a miserable life. And I get it, because people do say, hey, I'm not changing. That's me. But again, life is about choices. So when we're talking about communication, we're talking about relationships, we're talking about all these things, life goes in phases. And in every phase is going to require a different level of you. So if you are an older couple and you're learning like, hey, what used to work is not working no more. Until you hate how that makes you feel, you're not going to change it. So you have to hate it enough to say my relationships means more to me that I'm going to go and try something different. I may need to go to a counselor. I may need to go to another relationship. The best word I have learned not to say is the word you. Yes. When you are communicating, don't talk about what the other person is doing. Talk about how you feel. Talk
So
about
that's pointing a finger again, right? We say you did this and you did. All right, go ahead.
So I'll tell people this, even when you go like you, right? Somebody always says there's 3 fingers pointing back at who you are. So where I'm telling this person what they did wrong, I need to embrace what I may have contributed to this thing. Like I tell people all the time, I'm not perfect. I'm not this perfect wife. I'm not this perfect friend. I am constantly learning. So when I talk about how I feel, it gives the other person an inside look of why I'm feeling the way that I am and why I'm behaving this way. So then we can have an open conversation to really make a change.
Wow. Well, I think that's all we have time for, but you're wonderful. And don't be stuck up. That's one of the things I heard you say. Don't be stuck up talking about you can't change and kill yourself if you can't change, okay? Anybody can change. And don't be stuffy. Be more open to life. Be more open to God. Be more open to the possibility that you can have everything. The good life that anybody else has, you have a right to have it too. The love that people have, I know for the longest I was out there thinking, I will never find the perfect love now. If it didn't come to me by now at 66, and then Sonia walks in, and at 54, both of us were thinking the same thing. And now we know that God still has someone out there for us who will love us the way we love them. It's out there, y'all. But don't be frightened. Don't be stuck up. Communicate, touch people, love people, and watch them love you right back. Any final words, my dear?
Yes, real quick. I want you to hold your hand out and hold it like this in front of you. Right? If your perfect love, if the things that you've been praying for came to you right now and I was to drop it, how would you be able to hold on to it if you have your fist open in protection?
I'm gonna grab it like this.
Well, see, it's going to end up dropping. So what I tell people is the only way to get the life that you want, regardless of how much trauma you've experienced, regardless of what pain you've had. And I'm sharing that a week after trauma really quickly because I know my time's almost out. I was speaking at a conference about sexual abuse and assault. And 1 minute before I can land safely into my home, I was sexually touched inappropriately. And I could have easily kept my hands closed, like, okay, I don't want to do this no more or none of that. But I opened up my hands to open up myself to those people that I can trust, open up myself to new opportunities. And now I'm at a better position, even though that happened. Why do I share that? For those people who are like, life has happened to me, Mylira, I'm in protection because I'm in fight mode. I'm here to tell you, fighting is not going to get you where you want to go. Open up your hands because you deserve the life that you've been destined to live. And if you don't know that, you can find me on all platforms, Mylira Transforms. Go to MyliraTransforms.com. And I am literally in a space to just make sure that people know, regardless of the life that you live, you deserve positive relationships, not just with other people, but with yourself. So, yeah, that's what I got.
Wow. That is fantastic. Woo! I love it. Let me bring the folks back on so we can applaud you out of here because you're fantastic. I love it, ladies and gentlemen. Mylira Green right here with the relationship talk this weekend. Killing the game. Thank you, Mylira. Tell people how they can find you.
So at Mylira Transforms on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel. It's Transform with Mylira. Please make sure you go subscribe. And listen, y'all, I come up here every week. I want to make sure that y'all follow me on Instagram. I want to build my followers because I do want to change people's lives. I'm that person who's going to talk about the things that people aren't talking about. So I love each and every one of you guys. My number is 757-609-0694. You do not have an excuse to die and still be alive. So let's go ahead and do CPR for y'all. And I love you guys. That's where y'all can find me at.
Mylira,
that was great. Go ahead.
Mylira, you were so wrong. And you already know what I'm going to say. You are so wrong. You should have opened up your hand and slapped the taste out of whoever's mouth it was. That's what the arm. You could have kept your fist balled up for that, but you should have opened your arms up and slapped the taste out of somebody's mouth.
Listen, my success does that. That's what I tell people. At the end of the day, regardless of what people try to do to me, my success, my life I live in God, that's enough punch in the face to tell that person who did what they did that life still goes on, man.
Cletus, man, they really loved the segment this morning. I mean, the comments are so good this morning. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mylira. I appreciate it. All right, hit me with the woo, woo, woo.
Woo, woo, woo.
Hey, y'all, Mylira Green right here on the Michael Coylar Morning Show. Hey, y'all, she's here with us every